Hello and welcome everybody. Today this session is for showing how to do SPDD in your upgrade project. So SPDD and SPOW are the two transactions that need to be performed compulsorily during an upgrade, wherein SPDD is performed as part of the pre-upgrade activity. So this is something that we need to perform in the shadow system before the upgrade is completed, and needs to be completed after the upgrade is completed. So let's see how SPDD is done. Go to transaction SPDD and there you will see three radio buttons. Click on the first standard one and execute. In it you'll see three different tabs, or four different tabs rather. The one is notes, with assistant, without assistant, and the last one is the deletions. So deletions we don't really have to worry about. The ones that we need to take care of are the notes, the with assistant and without assistant tab. So in here in the notes you can see that some of the notes are in different implementation status. Some can be all three, the icons can be black, and then the status can be obsolete notes. Some can be partially implemented notes. So what we need to do is just click on each of the note and then see what the status is on the right hand side, where you can see the actions that we can take on these notes. Now I'm just the one that I have selected, I'm just opening it in another S-Note transaction to verify if the note contains some changes. But you can see on the right hand side here that the note that I have highlighted, the action was confirm obsolete SAP note. So if you select that note and you click on execute, the system will automatically take care of the note. You don't really have to go to another transaction to check what the note is. It's just something that I was doing. So this way you have to select each note and then from the list of available actions just click on select it and then just double click like so and hit execute. So you can either choose all of the notes at once and then from the available actions you can execute, which will create a background job which we can see in SM37. So this background job will take care of implementing all these nodes. You will not have to do it manually the way I am doing right now, which is one by one. But the reason I do not prefer selecting all and then clicking on the available actions to create a background job is because sometimes there are a lot of nodes and it just takes up a lot of memory when it is being run. And what happens is then when you come back to SPDD and to click on with assistant or without assistant, the whole system just slows down a lot. So I prefer to do it one by one, but it's your choice. You can try both of them and see which is favorable to you. But this is what we're doing here now. And the first thing that you really should do is just take care of the notes, because a lot of times when you implement or de-implement or perform the available actions on the note, some of the items from with assistant and without assistant can reduce. So that's quite helpful. Once you are finished with the notes, move to the next tab, with assistant. Now the difference between with assistant and without assistant is that in with assistant, when you click on the compare versions, you will see a split screen editor kind of a screen where you can see the current version and the previous version. And in that, if you can see on the screen right now, you can click on the single, double column and delta display. So just select your item and then select single, double column. You can see the changes. For example, on the left hand side is the new one and on the right hand side is the old one. The field label length has changed from 15 to 20, and so this just shows us that there is really no customer change that was made in this. So we can go ahead and press reset. So let me tell you the difference between reset and adjust. So reset is something that we use when we need to keep the changes that have come in from the latest version or the latest upgrade that is going to take place, or the current that is taking place. So adjust is something that we do when we have to adapt the modifications that the customer had done prior to the upgrade. Sometimes we make Z fields added to a table, or Z modifications or append structures that come in through customers, so those need to be adapted in the standard after the upgrade. So whenever the upgrade comes in, these Z fields will not be present in the new DDIC structure, so those need to be adapted. And in that case, when they need to be adapted, we should go for the button adjust. But in cases where we do not have any Z structures or any changes made by the customers or by us, then in that case it's better to go for the reset option, which means you are just accepting the newest version that is coming in. For example, here you can see that the field label length was changed from 15 to 20. So this is not something that we have done, and therefore we can hit on reset. That will accept the new field label length. Now in this next example, if you see when you're doing a compare version, you can see that the description was changed, right? You can see that the letter P was made capital and then it was made small. So that is the only change here. Again, this is not a customer change, so we can go ahead and do a reset. Now coming to the without assistant tab. So the main difference between with assistant and without assistant, I have already told you. So in without assistant, you generally do not have a split screen editor, the one that we are seeing. In few cases it will be present, but in most of the cases it is not present. So because you do not have a split screen editor, you cannot do a version comparison on left and right, like you can see right now. Here in this case there is an option for version comparison, but otherwise it's just a reset and an adjust. So in this case what you will do is, unfortunately I do not have the example of showing you that in this video, but I'm just going to walk you through what to do when in without assistant you do not have an option of doing a version comparison. So you just double click on the object whichever you are working on, and then it will take you to the object. There inside you can do a version comparison, the one that you normally do. And if you see that there is a customer change that is present, for example in this case there is a customer append that was added prior to the upgrade. So in this case we should be adjusting our DDIC. So we should be going for an adjust and not for a reset. So similarly, when you are doing a version comparison and you see that a customer change is present prior to the upgrade, so you come back to this screen and then you select your item and click on adjust. Now in adjust there are sometimes two options, adjust with proposal or adjust manually. The one you can see, what I'm trying to see is the adjust with proposal, but adjust with proposal is, since we do not have an example here, you'll just have to go through the steps that they are present there. In adjust with proposal, it gives you a pop-up explaining the steps what the system is going through. And if you do an adjust manually, like here you can see the information messages. So here when you do adjust with proposal, you have an option of accept the proposal or edit the proposal or compare manually. So if you're comparing manually, you will see the Z structure is been added before the upgrade, and this has to be adjusted. So you will go and do either an accept proposal, depending on what the system is proposing. The system will definitely propose to you to add the append structure inside the new DDIC. If you do not want to do that and you want to do it manually, you can go ahead with the adjust manually option. So in adjust manually, you will do a retrieve version using the previous version, and then once the previous version has been retrieved and activated, you can confirm this action as processing completed. That's the only difference between adjust with proposal and adjust manually. Personally, from all the upgrades that I have done, I have chosen to go with adjust manually because that's just easier to retrieve a version. If we in the next session, whenever we do SPAU, you will see the difference between the two. Alright, hopefully this was a little informative. If you have any comments, please put it in the comments, and if I get to do SPDD again, I will capture the without assistant tabs more in depth. Thank you guys. See you next time.